This is every single pack of Pokemon cards ever made.
Financial experts say the monster trading cards are holding up better than the S&P 500.
The Pokemon IP has gotten a bad rap for being overrun with scalpers clearing out all the shelves and fighting children for booster boxes.
Can I get one ETB?
Pokemon cards have made people wildly rich, but a lot of people are investing in them and losing a lot of money. Here's why. Now, I collected Pokemon cards as a kid, but lately things have exploded. Let's look at the facts and find out what's driving the value up and down, starting with why your cards could lose value. Now, we're not just talking about kids swapping cards at recess. People are spending real money here. Thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars on sealed products, graded slabs, and vintage singles. So the question isn't just, is this a fun hobby? The real question is this a smart financial move? And the answer is a lot more complicated than many experts want you to believe. So let's start with the uncomfortable truth. Scarcity is largely a myth when it comes to new product. The Pokemon Company printed roughly 10 billion cards last year. That's not exactly a drop in the bucket. And new sets are dropping constantly. Plus, reprints happen regularly, and the term limited edition is more of a marketing phrase than actual reality. And layered on top of all of that are the scalpers.
This guy right here, he's trying to glitch the machine. He's trying to do the vendor code or something. He's trying to unlock everything available. I don't know what he's on.
Here's how the trap works. A hot new set just drops, and bots are buying them in bulk. Pretty much everything sells out within minutes. And now the only place that you can buy it is from a reseller who's charging about 2 to 3 times the MSRP. But if you're a collector, you feel the FOMO, so you pay it. The scalper profits, Pokemon profits, and you're left with all the risk. But here's what's actually happening. Scalpers are now increasingly scalping each other. So much product has now been reprinted that someone's hot item is already sitting in someone else's garage. The supply is quite literally out of control. So if you paid premium for sealed products 6 months ago, it may be worth less now than what you paid for it. And no, you're not imagining it. The system is designed this way on purpose. But I'm curious if you're actually a collector or an investor watching this, because they are entirely two different games here, and the answer changes everything about how this information actually applies to you. Drop your answer in the comments down below. Now, here's something that most channels covering this topic skip entirely. Federal law enforcement has taken a little bit of an interest now in the high-value collectibles market. In January of 2026, a federal jury in New York convicted a man named Anthony Curcio for selling Pokemon and sports cards with forged PSA grades. PSA grades are the official seal of approval on a playing card. So that means common cards were being passed off as PSA 9s and 10s, and their prices are being inflated. The case was handled by the Southern District of New York's Illicit Finance and Money Laundering Unit. The FBI had ran an investigation, and the total victim losses came to over $2 million. And that's not a one-off. Grading fraud is a real documented problem in the trading card market, and it matters to you as a buyer because a PSA grade is basically the entire basis of the card's value. And if the grade can be faked, then the system has a massive hole in it, which extends to your pocket. And now, if all of this wasn't enough, there's also this whole organized crime part of this. In April 2026, Spanish authorities broke up a Swedish criminal network operating out of Marbella that was using rare Pokemon cards to launder drug money. How it worked was, well, they would convert cash into cards and present that as a legitimate investment portfolio and then sell through secondary markets. Looks like lawful income, right? Similarly, a former Japanese crime syndicate leader confirmed that his organization was pretty much using the same playbook. You see, it works because cards are extremely small, portable, and in some cases, worth a lot of money. So it's easy to move money through them quickly and quietly. Now, this doesn't mean that your collection is implicated or anything, but it does mean that federal law enforcement is really paying attention now. So if you're treating your card collection as a financial investment, it's worth knowing this. But one of the more important pieces of all of this, and probably most interesting to you, is that cards are still appreciating and making money.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
So vintage cards, first edition base sets, shadowless prints, basically cards that were produced when print runs actually still meant limited, before the market became, well, what it is today. But these cards have documented scarcity and a growing base of adult collectors with real purchasing powers. Think millennials, maybe Gen Z, but anything older than that. But yeah, these are mostly people who grew up on Pokemon and are chasing nostalgia with every dollar bill. Can you blame us for trying to buy back our childhood? And it's not just Pokemon. The broader collectibles market has been rising across the board. Sports cards, comics, vintage toys. But here's the distinction that actually matters. If you're collecting for the love of the hobby and buying what you can actually afford, plus you're targeting vintage cards with real scarcity, well, you're doing all the right things. But If you're buying new sealed product, expecting it to outperform the S&P 500 because an influencer told you it would, that scenario probably doesn't have a happy ending. Here's what's actually driving values up right now. People are treating cards like an asset class, and the market is responding to that. Buyers have changed. They used to be kids with hobbies, and now they're adults with real disposable income. Even kids who are collecting nowadays are watching the prices. The whole culture has shifted from fun to finance. So if you really want to participate in this market as more than just a casual card buyer, here's what you need to know. Whatnot is a popular live auction platform where sellers are moving cards in real time. Pricing is set by live demand. It's community driven, which makes it transparent and hard to fake. eBay is still the most liquid individual marketplace for cards, and the price history is publicly visible, which means that you can actually do your research before you buy. But like anything else, there are still red flags. Unverified private sellers promising grading results that they can't guarantee, and let's not forget any influencer telling you that opening packs is a strategy. It's not, it's just content. The only people making consistent money in this market are almost always running it like a part-time business. They understand platform fees, shipping costs, tax implications, and how to source in bulk. And if you want the full breakdown on how people are really making money online, trading cards included, we have a video on all of the best ways. Link in the description down below. But here's the thing about markets like this one. They attract people who are already feeling financial pressure, and FOMO is a major motivator in markets like this. And when you're feeling financially stretched thin, the idea that a collection of any kind could help pay your bills, well, that sounds very motivating. But it's situations like this that are the riskiest. And often people fall for traps like high interest payday loans. Well, you're really better off just steering clear of that. So if you do need financial support, CreditNinja offers personal loans for real people with real, not perfect, credit histories. Transparent terms, no traps, and you can check your rate without hurting your credit score at CreditNinja.com, which is linked down in the description. So, are Pokemon cards a good investment? I don't know. I hope so. I got a whole binder full of them. Seriously, some of them can be, sure, yeah. But most new product, probably not. And if you're walking into a market like this uninformed, well, that's the biggest mistake that you can make. So at the very least, I hope that this gave you a clear picture of all of it before you did make any moves. And if it did, hey, make sure you subscribe because we cover markets like this one all of the time. You know, the ones that get hyped up without the full story being told. That's what we're here for. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Till next time.